Hey,
Hey,
hey.
Ah,
We could do that in harmony. We should try that. Hey,
eh,
hey, hey. Ace
Okay,
boy.
enough of that goofiness. Hey, good
hey,
evening. Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to our Sunday night offering of Astronomy Edutainment, the Sunday Night Astronomy Show.
Hey.
hey.
hey ho!
My name is Chris Kerwin. I'm the creator of the social media channels known as Astronomy by the Bay. Also an amateur astronomer and a member of the Royal Astronomical Society of Canada.
Hey.
Hey, there you go. First of all, I'd like to welcome back my two regular co-hosts for this evening, Mr. Paul Owen. Welcome back from the Moonshot Observatory in beautiful Hampton. Hey,
Thank
Paul.
you. Hello.
And Mr. Mike Powell from the PFO Observatory here in St. John. Mike, good evening.
Hello.
And of course, I'd like to welcome all of you tonight who are joining us through YouTube and Facebook land, and also everybody who's joining us through the local Rogers TV network. Thank you for your support. All right, so tonight's episode of the Sunday Night Astronomy Show. Now, we have discussed many times how constellations are the roadmaps in the night sky. We use them to find our way to the many treasures hidden within. Now, tonight we're going to reveal another famous constellation, Corona Borealis, no relation to that recent popular Aurora Borealis. And who better to present its treasures and legends than our own resident constellation expert and RASC member, Kurt Nason.
Hey.
Our guest.
Easy.
Good evening, Kurt. We're also going to have another fine vinyl bud target of the week. Paul will present another interesting Rosanna's Fun Facts episode for us, and I'll have all of your wonderful photo submissions to share tonight as well. So that's our show tonight. So let's get started then with the discussion around the constellation of Corona Borealis. But first of all, Angela's asking, any Aurora tonight? No show tonight, Angela, I'm afraid.
Right behind us. Mike and I both have
There you
Aurora.
go. Yeah, that's what you're going to get to see.
From our house, you can see
Like
it.
there's going to be much tonight. There was a call for a G1 minor event tonight from a sunspot that's on the far side about to rotate off. And there was a small bit of the coronal mass ejection that came out of that, but nothing that's going to display tonight. Keep an eye out for this new set of sunspots, 3683, 3685, that are coming around. One of them released an X2.9 flare just the other day. And then we've got that big 3664, of course, that rotated off from our point of view, and will be coming around in a couple of weeks. So we'll see if that one holds for the couple of weeks or not. Apparently, they had pretty good aurora on Mars the other day.
Oh.
Yeah. But I wasn't there to see it, so I couldn't
Yeah,
say for sure.
I slept through it.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, we wait to see those images on Facebook.
That's right. Yeah, from the rover. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so let's get started then, Kurt, with talk about Corona Borealis, sir.
And here it is, Corona Borealis, the Northern Crown. It's a pretty little constellation, and by little, it's of the 88 constellations, I think it's around number 72 in terms of size. So it's not the biggest, but it does stand out because it makes that nice shape there. It looks a lot like a crown for some reason. And it's we got seven stars that you can fairly easily see here. The brightest one is Alphecca here. It had been called Gemma as well, but officially it went by both names, and now it's officially by the IAU. They've made it Alphecca. And it's a magnitude of about 2.2. Now, the other six stars, maybe four of them are fourth magnitude, and a couple of them are fifth magnitude. So they're a little bit dim, but they do stand out like that. And to find it, it's fairly easy to do. Take a wide view of it here. You've got the fourth brightest star in the sky, Arcturus, here in Borealis. The fifth brightest star in the sky here in Lyra, Vega. So you go from Arcturus to Vega, one third of the way puts you on Corona Borealis. Two-thirds of the way puts you into Hercules. And so you can find those two bright stars up there. That's the easy way to get to it. You got Bodes hanging around it here, Hercules next by or nearby. We got Serpens Caput, the front part of the snake, Serpens, very near to it as well. Now, the shape like that, there are a lot of things that can look that way. So in different areas around the world, they see this as something different. There is a southern crown as well, just below Sagittarius. It looks somewhat like this. If you're used to seeing the teapot Sagittarius, that southern crown, the southern crown makes a lemon wedge asterism. But here at the northern crown, in different areas of the world, what they would see in polar areas like north in Siberia, they saw that as a paw or a boot. Now, there's parts of the Arctic, they saw it as a polar bear's paw. Right? Arabic worlds saw that as a beggar's bowl. You have people out in the streets with a begging bowl there looking for handouts. So it was quite popular there. Australia, you can see it. Of course, it looks like a boomerang to them. In other spots, we've got an area around Borneo and oceanic areas. They saw that as a fishing net. In some of the areas, it looked like a fish, much like a manta ray, coming around like that, and maybe missing the tail out of there. Right, China saw it as a money string, among other things. So I have a Chinese coin here, and it's has a hole in the middle, and they would take the money and put a string through them and have all the coins like that on a string. So they saw it as that way. But the main one comes from being scary for one of these comes from Greece, and I'll talk about that in a few minutes. Now, in indigenous areas here in North America, and some people saw that as a smoke hole. So they have their teepee, wigwam, or whatever, there'd be a smoke hole at the top of it, or in their lodge. So they have the fire inside, and the smoke would come up through that particular smoke hole. They also use that for making smoke signals for maybe as communication among different areas that are fairly nearby. Another one they saw this is the Council of the Chiefs. Right, so the main chief is actually Polaris, but these are other chiefs hanging around in the council. And perhaps the most noted, particularly in our area, for Corona Borealis, would be the Bear's Cave. Some people saw this as a bear, but for the Mi'kmaq, they had a story dealing with the Big Dipper and Borealis and Corona Borealis. Wind this out a bit here. Won't tell the whole story. But we've got this the Big Dipper up in here. These four, the bowl of the Dipper was the bear, and then there were 7 hunters who were named for birds. We have robin here, you have chickadee. Up in here, you had moose bird, and pigeon, blue jay, owl, and saw-whet, which is a small owl. Right, so it's a dimmer star, so it was smaller. Arcturus being bright was a bigger bird, of course. Right, and chickadee up here with the Mizar was the chickadee, and that alcor just above it, you can just barely see if you got decent eyes. There was a cooking pot that the chickadee was carrying around, so they're going to be attacking the bear. So every spring, when Corona Borealis would be rising in the evening, that was the bear's cave, so the bear would come out of the cave. And then the 7 hunters would chase him around. And eventually, over the summer, you start getting into fall, these would start to drop below the horizon. And by doing that, that meant they retired and dropped out of the hunt, which left just the 3 up in here. And eventually the bear when you get into early fall there, it's looking like this. It looks like the bear's rising up on his hind legs. And so when that happens, the bear turns around to fight the 3 that are left. And so Robin, being the closest one, shot the bear in the heart with an arrow, and the blood spurted out and got all over Robin's chest, all over the bird. And he flew up into the sky, or up into the tree, and fluttered his wings to get the blood off, and that made all the leaves red. So that explains how the leaves turning color in autumn. And that's also how he couldn't get it off his chest, so that's why robins have a red breast there. So they killed the bear, they cut it up. Well, actually, chickadee and robin cut it up. Moose bird is a Canada jay, and it's more of a moocher. So moose bird is hiding in the bushes, waiting for them to do all the work before he come out, claiming he'd get lost and couldn't catch up to them. So they cut the bear up, they had a good meal, and took some back to the rest of the village and feed them there through the winter. And that was that one. But if you look at it, in terms of Greek mythology. Bring it up here again. There's a story dealing with two places, Athens, which you've all heard of, plus Crete, the island of Crete. The king of Crete was Minos. And on Crete, there was this monster called the Minotaur, which means bull of Minos. And it was had a good, like to have human flesh to eat. Right? So it was quite a horrible monster. So they had it in a labyrinth. Daedalus had built the labyrinth, which is a fantastic maze. And they had a lock on that. And so have that part. Now, the king, of course, he had a beautiful daughter. All princesses are beautiful. This was Ariadne. And he also had a son. However, the son was killed by the Athenians, either in a war. There's another story where he was a great athlete, and then out of jealousy, they killed him. So if there's a battle about this, and eventually the Cretans won the battle. And to make the Athenians pay for killing the king's son, every now and then, I've heard every 1 year or every 7 years, they had to send 7 young men, teenagers, and 7 maidens to Crete to feed to the Minotaur. Right? So I'm sure they'd be very happy about that. So they put them in a boat, send them off to Crete. They'd have a black flag up there just to show their remorse about having to do this. So this went on a couple of times. Now, the third time it came around for them to send people out, by this time the king's son, other son, Theseus, he was about 16 years old, and he didn't want this to happen anymore. So he offered to go with the rest of the men, the young men and the women. And he said he would kill the Minotaur. And they had said before that King Minos had said before, if he killed the Minotaur, then you don't have to send people anymore. So Theseus is going to come and get into the labyrinth, kill the Minotaur, and they wouldn't have to send any more people like that to lose them, young people like that. So they sailed there, and when they got to Crete, Ariadne immediately fell in love with Theseus, handsome, strong, young guy. And he was quite taken with her as well. So she was going to help him. The labyrinth, that big maze there, you really couldn't find your way out of it. It was built so well by Daedalus. So she gave him a ball of yarn or a ball of string. And in some cases, I think he maybe had a long knife or a sword. And some other stories, he didn't have anything like that. He just went in with his bare hands. So he took this string when he went in and drew it out so he could find his way into the Minotaur. And then by looking at the string there, he could get his way back out. So he eventually ran into the Minotaur, and they had the battle, and he slew it. And using that string, he found his way back out again. And before they left, he took Ariadne with him. In some stories, he married her there, then left. But everybody was saved that went. So they set sail again to come back home. And on the way home, they stopped off at an island called Naxos. And living on this island was a god. This was, well, a lot of people would be his favorite god. Roman mythology was Bacchus. In Greek mythology, he was, geez, it fell out of my head. Dionysus. And he was the god of winemaking and a lot of other things like orgies and all that sort of come out of drinking all that wine. So it was a big party island. So he invited them all. They were there on the island and had stopped off to rest and maybe get some food. And Dionysus met them, and he immediately was taken by the beauty of Ariadne. So they had a big party that night, and everybody had quite a bit of wine. And in the morning, when they got to leave, Dionysus, before Ariadne got up, Dionysus told him, Theseus said he was in love with Ariadne, and he should leave the woman there for him. And being a god, they really couldn't dispute that fact, so they took off. In other stories, I think Theseus just left on his own because he really wasn't that interested in Ariadne. So they sailed off for Athens, and Theseus was feeling quite down there because he had lost his wife or his wife to be, depending on whether they were married on Crete or not. And so he's so despondent that he forgot he had to deal with his father. Now, he told his father if he killed the Minotaur when he was sailing back home, he'd take down the black sail and put up a white sail. So his father would know ahead of time that they were successful and everybody was coming back. But he was so despondent that he forgot to put that white sail up. Right. So in the morning, they set sail. Then eventually, Ariadne wakes up and finds out her her lover is gone, along with everybody else. She's left there on the island. But the god there, he convinces her that he loves her and he wants her to be his wife, and promised her that she was his wife. They could live in Mount Olympus, and she would be mortal, or immortal. And that's a pretty good idea for her. So to prove his love for her, he had this beautiful golden crown. And he said, "You marry me, this crown can be yours." Right? So she put the crown on, and they got married, and I guess probably lived happily ever after, and moved to Mount Olympus, and the crown get put up into the sky to commemorate their marriage like that. Now, the rest of the story, the ship is sailing off to Athens, and Aegeus, who was the father, he was the king of Athens. This is his father. So Aegeus was standing on the seashore. He'd do that every day to see if the ship was coming home. And finally, he sees the ship coming in, but it's got the black sail. So to him, that means the son is dead, and all the other ones have been fed to the Minotaur. And so he, so despondent himself, he throws himself off to the cliff into the sea and drowns. And his name is Aegeus, so ever since that time, that's been known as the Aegean Sea. And that's the name of that happy story. And I'll talk about a couple of things here in this. Stop sharing and reshare. And I'll come up to this. All right, now there are a couple of stars there in Corona Borealis, and one of them is a famous one you're hearing a lot about now. Is T Corona Borealis, or the Blaze Star, and with that, most people just call it T Corbor. And this one is a repetitive nova, recurrent nova, what they call it. So it's a white dwarf star. It's actually two stars. There's a white dwarf and a red giant, right? And they're not that far apart, about half the distance between the Earth and the Sun. And so the red giant star is puffed way out, so it's not that far away from it. So the gravity of the tidal pull of the white dwarf star is pulling some of the outer part of the red giant in toward it. So at times, as they're orbiting each other, it's going to get a lot more of that. And it gets a lot of that winding up, a lot of the hydrogen from the red giant winding up on the outside of the white dwarf star. None of that builds up. Temperature builds up there. And then it can have the hydrogen flashing into fusion, flashing into helium. And it gets much, much brighter. So typically, that star is about 9th or 10th magnitude. But when this happens, and it can last for quite a while, it happened in 1866, and they could see it naked eye star for about 6 days. Right, so it gets up to about magnitude 2 or 3, a flash like that, and gradually it'll drift away. So here's a chart made by a guy named Pope Pompous, and this is the one in 1946. And when the second time this happened that they've known about, there's been thoughts maybe a couple times before that they'd seen it as well, recorded this star that showed up and then disappeared again. So here it is. In 1945, it took a dip. For a while, it got a little bit brighter than 10th, up into maybe 9.8 or so. Then it dipped down, got dimmer like that by another magnitude. And then came back up, and about a year later, this would have been in spring in 1946, it got very, very bright again. Went through that flash where the hydrogen turned to helium, and it got very, very bright again as a nova. And then promptly drops down over several days, back down to its normal like 9th or 10th magnitude again. And it sort of zips around like that for a little while before it settles out at its normal brightness. Now this year, maybe about 2016 or 17, you notice T Corridor was getting a little bit brighter from 10th up to maybe 9.2 magnitude. And it stayed like that. Then last spring, it dipped, just like it did in 1945, and came up. And so that be by 1945 is a year later when it did that again. So here it is, 2024, a year after it did this, and now they're expecting this sometime in between May and September. They think it should be a flash like that again. So it's getting very, very bright and then come down over the next week or so, back to normal. So a lot of the variable star observers are watching this frequently, hoping to be the ones to see that one get very, very bright, very, very quickly. Then you can watch it for the next several days as it comes down. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to go back to Corridor here. All right, so where are these, this star? Where is it? So it's near Epsilon Corona Borealis. And bring this up here. You can see three stars here. Now they don't have this labeled as T Corona Borealis. If you look at this one, it looks a little bit brighter. Right? They just call that a star. This one in here, this is from the Hipparchus catalog 78234. Now T Corridor is actually Hipparchus 78322. And it might be this one in here, although they just call this one a stellarium, they just call that a star as well. But the magnitude here, 9.2, is pretty much what T Corridor is right now. So I'm assuming that this one in here is T Corridor. So if you look near Epsilon Corona Borealis, see three stars in there, and it should be the middle one in there. 9.2 might be difficult in many binoculars. But it'll be very, very bright, hopefully within the next 6 months, and hopefully we get to catch that. Now, there's another famous star up in here. They call it the Borealis Coroni. Right? And this is our Corona Borealis, or our Corridor. And again, the R means it's a variable star. Now, this one's an eruptive variable star. So this is an old type star, and there's hardly any hydrogen left. Most of the hydrogen has turned into helium, so the helium is fusing into carbon. So about 92% of it is helium, but a good chunk of it, maybe 8%, is carbon. All right, so it's normally about 6th magnitude star, and it's variable that way by about 0.1 magnitude over a period of 40 or 50 days. But every now and then, and it's unpredictable when, but that carbon in there can come together and make soot and dims the star quite considerably. So that star can dim to about magnitude 14 or 15. And how long it takes to come back, well, it can vary. Sometimes it could be years before it gets back to magnitude 6. Okay? So that one is another one that's been well known over the past few centuries because its variability. Now, typically we look for nice and say galaxies and stuff like that, deep sky objects. But really, there are none that a lot of the amateur astronomers look for. And looking in here, well, there are several galaxies in around here, but they're all like 13th, 14th magnitude, which is beyond most people with backyard telescopes. People with imagers can probably pick that up. But for your observers out there, for most backyard telescopes, there's really nothing in Corona Borealis to see. So the variable star watchers are the winners here with this. And that's all I've got to say about the crown.
Nothing interesting. Why we talk about this one then? Why did we pick something else?
Because I want to be quick.
All up there.
I can drag the story out longer.
There you go. Good story.
Yeah.
I'd like to know how many of those legends are really true, though. Like
Oh, all of them.
all of them. Right.
They're
Yeah.
true to somebody.
True to somebody.
Yeah.
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 There was no fake news in those days.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely. Thanks, Kurt.
You're
Great
welcome.
talk. That's
Yeah.
interesting to see. So we're gonna wait and see if that star flares up.
Yeah.
Yeah, could
That'd
be
be
any
cool.
time then.
It's
Start
just one of those
practicing
things
now.
It's one of those things you just go outside and there it is. It's so easy to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really a nice one to kind of look for naked eye, or, you know, when you're trying to find other things, it's almost a good spot in the map on its own.
Yeah, maybe you want to get in practice of checking it out when you're out in the sky there with so you can actually see T-Corp with binoculars first.
Yeah.
Get a scope and give it a check regularly.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
And it's well placed this time of year. Just high up in the about 10:30. It's high up in the southeast.
Okay, yeah. So it won't be a Betelgeuse, but close. Awesome. Thank you, Kurt.
Is it near
Okay.
Cygnus? Is it near Cygnus?
Not
Somewhat.
There's nothing there.
Good eyesight.
I give up.
Yeah, that'll be Kirsten next talk you watch. I'll let you guys run the show. Okay, let's go to the Bino Bud next.
Final Bud next. Alrighty, binocular target of the week. This week by Bino Bud is Mazar and Alcor. You're seeing
Ooh.
double. I should have added on there the chickadee. Now that I know. So Mizar, Alcor, and the chickadee. So Mizar and Alcor are 2 stars forming a naked eye double in the handle of the Big Dipper asterism in the constellation of Ursa Major. Mizar is the 2nd star from the end of the Dipper handle, and Alcor is its fainter companion. The ability to resolve Mizar and Alcor with the naked eye is often quoted as a test of eyesight, although even people with poor eyesight can see these 2 stars. Well, I can't. But Mizar and Alcor was the first binary star system discovered, by the way. So where do I find it in the sky? Well, if you went outside tonight at 2300 and oriented yourself 45 degrees northeast and look straight up, you'll see the Big Dipper, and it's a 2nd star from the handle, and just look for the chickadee. It's got to be in there somewhere. Again, there's the Big Dipper. It's unmistakable when you look up, and there's Mizar and Alcor, the 2nd star, no pun in from the handle because it's 2 stars. What does it look like? Well, in this photograph, it's 2 beautiful stars, slightly tinted blue. You can a good spread apart so you can see the 2 of them. In 10 by 50 binoculars, there they are. They're, like I said, it's a good separation. If you can see it naked eye, then you'll definitely see it separated with a pair of binoculars. Compared to the moon, well, the separation, it takes up about half the size of the full moon. So again, easy to spot, easy to look at, and you'll notice it when you get to it. And guess what? What you're actually looking at, Mizar, is a double star. And then there's Alcor. But on top of that, it's a sextuplet, whether you knew that or not. Mizar A is a double, B is a double, and Alcor is a double. That's a lot of chickadees you're putting in there.
Wow.
Now, you ready for this one? What did the astronaut see in his skillet? An unidentified flying object. And that's binocular target of the week. I know, bud.
Oh, that's a good one. Unidentified flying objects.
You'd like that one.
I see that almost every summer, every morning. Speaking of the Big Dipper, and because they're kind of known as Ursa Minor, Ursa Major, or also the Little Bear and the Big Bear. Well, here, I saw the Big Dipper when I was out west.
Yeah.
Sure.
I don't see the chickadee.
Well, I think he ate Mizar and Alcor because he's been having a real good
Hey,
summer.
he's been eating well, for
He was
sure.
watching you. He was watching you. No doubt.
Yes, indeed.
Thanks, Mike. Another great target. Nice, easy one to get. And
Yes.
people aren't aware of that one, but that is a nice, easy one for binos for sure.
Like I said, now I know it is the chickadee. I'll remember that.
There you go. Okay, how about a Rosanna's fun fact next?
Yes, we can do that. All right. See if I can pull this off. It's been a while. All right. So this is this week's.
Rosanna's Fun Fact.
Well, welcome back, Rosanna, for another wonderful fun fact. Now, let me just get the fun fact so I can actually tell you what the fun fact's about. Just one sec here. Gotta get my mail open. There we go. and get that over here, and away we go. So, Rosanna writes, hi, Paul. The sun is a styling. Just in time. Let's see if I can get this here off first. Get my pictures going correctly there. Where are they? No, that's not it. Is that it? No. Where'd they go? Are they gone already? It happens that quick. I turned that off. No, it's just gone. Where did they go? Give me 1 second here. I gotta find them again. There it is.
They fell out of the dipper.
There we go. Yay, there it is. So the sun is styling just in time for some great solar observing on Saturday to start off Astronomy Week, which of course was yesterday. One could say our sun has a certain flair for solar activity. As if this year's total solar eclipse weren't enough of a spectacle, the cosmos delivered another magnificent show last weekend when a solar storm caused auroras to stretch much further south from the Earth's poles than usual. Some reports state auroras were even seen in Florida and Hawaii. The sun is nearing the peak of its 11-year cycle of activity, meaning it's likely to produce even more solar storms like this in the months and years following the peak. This includes a particularly enormous solar flare that erupted from the sun on May the 14th, seen at the right-hand side of this image from NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory. Solar flares are intense bursts of electromagnetic radiation coming from sunspots on the sun's surface and are classified into lettered groups according to their intensity, with X-class flares being the most powerful. This week's X8.7 class flare was the largest solar flare ever seen in over a decade. Now, there is a really cool video on, I'm going to see if this is actually going to play or not. It might not, no, but this is the image of it anyway. So there's a really cool video on space.com showing the sunspot AR3664, responsible for last week's aurora, growing and expelling flares. This sunspot is now 15 times larger than the diameter of the Earth. So that's a pretty honking big flare. Now, sunspot AR3664 has grown so large that it now rivals the Carrington sunspot of 1859. To illustrate their similarity, spaceweather.com added Carrington's very amazing and impressive sketch to scale. So here it is here, and I'm going to see if I can make that a little bigger. I'll read you the description. So this is the actual description of the one from 1859. So while engaged in forenoon on Thursday, September the 1st, taking my customary observation of the forms and positions of solar spots, an appearance was witnessed, which I believe to be exceedingly rare. The image of the sun's disk was, as usual, with me, projected on to a plate of glass coated with a distemper of a paw straw color, and at a distance and under a power which I presented a picture of about 11 inches diameter. I had secured diagrams of all the groups and detached spots and was engaged at the time in counting from a chronometer and recording the contacts of the spots with the cross wires used in the observation. When within the area of the Great Northern Group, the size of which previously excited general remark, two patches of intensely bright and white light broke out in the positions indicated in the appended diagram by the letters A, of course down here, and B up there, and the forms of the spaces left white. My first impression was that by some chance, a ray of light had penetrated a hole in the screen attached to the object glass, and it just goes on with that. Now, on the next image, it shows you the comparison of Carrington's sunspot, which is the one we just talked about, versus the AR3664. So you can see that they are extremely close in size, and if the 3664 grows any, of course it'll be larger than Carrington, so it'll be the new champion, I guess. So to NASA, a photo on Thursday, May the 9th, sun. So auroras are breathtaking. Green is the most common aurora color, mostly caused by excited atomic oxygen in the lower parts of the atmosphere, and the red hues are caused by more intense solar activity exciting atomic oxygen at higher altitudes, and intense activity exciting molecular nitrogen at lower altitudes, which caused the purplish hues. Now I'm going to show you that image. There we go there. So this is one of Rosanna's favorite photos. So it has a really, really beautiful picture there, as you can see. I don't have to describe it, it's self-explanatory. But there have been many famous photos to rival it on Facebook from so many people who normally never get the chance to observe an aurora in their own backyard. Now, this photo of the aurora borealis was shared by Planetary Society member Jean Lewin, whose daughter and son-in-law captured the image from their backyard in Seattle, Washington. That's a beautiful aurora. And in Huntsville, Alabama, where Rosanna used to live when she was only 4, this spectacular image was captured. Now, this photo was taken by Lynn Strunk and is definitely being categorized as a UAP, which means unidentified aerial phenomenon. Now, as always, with strong flares, make that larger, there comes the possibility of radio blackouts on the sunlit side of our planet. The X-flare May the 9th caused shortwave radio blackouts across Europe and Africa. So how does a sunspot flare cause radio blackouts? As a monstrous sunspot rotates over the western edge or limb of the sun, it enters a location that magnetically joins it to Earth. A high-speed acceleration of charged particles or protons from the sunspot hop on this superfast space freeway that's called the Parker spiral. I'll show you that. So space.com described the Parker spiral as basically a high-speed silver bullet train that magnetic particles can catch a ride on from the sun to the Earth. If you look at the image of the Parker spiral, it may actually remind you more of one of those rides at a water park where you're launched out into the tube and then follow the spiral around and around until you get to that final location in the pool. This image is from the University of Arizona. Now, reading further about the Parker spiral, I discovered that the scientists call the neutral current sheet a ballerina skirt. It's quite easy to see why now I don't think I'll ever be able to go to this ballet again without thinking about the CMEs leading to a Parker spiral while dancers twirl, especially in the prime ballerina if her name is Aurora. For heaven's sake, Aurora, I was talking about Parker spiral, and there you go, completely off topic again. And that's this week's
Rosanna's Fun Fact.
Awesome. Yeah. So how fast are those particles traveling, Kurt? For the radio
That will vary.
You have to compute, doesn't it?
I remember the one in, we had those big X flares in 2003 in October, just before Halloween. And it was a cannibal one, Hank, that it took about 18 hours to get here.
18 hours, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, typically it might be a couple of days, but depending how strong the flare is, it's thrown off with much greater speed. And it can get here that fast.
I thought it was even faster than that because you see posts going up on places like spaceweather.com, and they'll post the fact that there was something that happened and it was within hours that they had the radio blackouts. But
okay, but what you're seeing there isn't the particles.
okay,
You've got the X-rays are going to be and ultraviolet causing the blackouts. They're traveling the speed of light.
you're late. Okay. Yeah. Oh, you okay, Paul?
You fall off your chair?
Bit of jet lag.
Fasten your seatbelt.
Your seatbelt on.
I forgot
one
to
of them
put my
spirals.
train in the upright position.
He's following that spiral, get dizzy.
And the ballerina himself off the
Yeah,
chair.
exactly. A Parker spiral.
Must be at Dionysus over for supper.
Alan Dyer says, Alan, hey, Alan, there were some huge prominences on the sun today. He said it was a great view in that little Coronado PST Alpha telescope. You said that earlier, Kurt.
Yeah.
Some huge.
Yesterday was a hedgerow. Today it's a big arc there.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Is that on the 3664 side, like where it left on that side, or was it on
It's on the following side, so it was just coming around yesterday.
Okay, yeah.
And
So
there's three big sunspots there not too far away.
3685 and 36.
I don't look at the numbers.
Okay. Well, a big blob there and another blob up there. Yeah.
Big one to the right.
Yeah, that's it.
No room in my sketches putting the numbers in. So.
Jeff Pendlebury says, so many images over the last week, and it has me posing the question, is it as simple as being further north that one will view more vibrant colors? I understand that many variables have to line up in a favorable way for people anywhere to see anything, but would being at higher latitudes give you a statistically better chance of seeing vibrancy with the naked eye?
Yeah.
Yes?
More intensity there, so because magnetic field lines are coming in toward the magnetic north, so the closer you are to that, you're going to have greater intensity. So you need them strong enough to trigger the cone cells in your eyes.
Gotcha. Okay. Very nice.
Now,
Thank you.
where I was in west, I saw the colors very vividly.
Yeah.
So, but I think that had more to do with the strength, with the intensity that was actually pushed with this one, because I think this was relatively highest class, was it, Kurt? This particular aurora?
Pardon me?
Was this the highest class, strongest, most intense?
G5 extreme, yeah. It points.
It for here it wasn't as good as the one in 2003.
Yeah.
Okay.
That one was quite a bit better.
But the intensity would, because of the strength of it and the intensity of it.
Okay, I think the flares were much greater than 8 back at that time. Quite a bit higher, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So some people say they saw some color here, and I don't know. I've
I did.
online. Yeah, some did.
You
And
did?
where I was, it was so bright. Like I had never seen. Like when Mike and I were, and Chris and Mike and I were at Florida Beach last March. We saw a lot of bands, and we saw a lot of grays and even some greens, but I didn't see any reds in that, and that was relatively strong. But this one out there was, I mean, I could see crimson, like red,
Yeah.
so vividly. It was unbelievable, and not just little bits, like what you see behind me was almost naked eye.
Hmm.
So I don't know. And again, I just assuming it's because of the intensity of it and the fact that it pushed down so much further that it just might have been more to look at. Does that make sense or no?
Possibly.
You were a lot higher in latitude too, right? So where you were.
It's only 4 degrees difference. We're 45, they're 49 out west.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, because when you look at Vancouver on one side and New Brunswick on the other side of Canada, there's very little difference in latitude.
Yeah, it's 4 degrees.
Yeah.
Then you have to look at the oval as well, so that'll get stretched farther south when you go over that area.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It dips down. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can see green from my deck, and Sharon, she could see some red on occasion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brad
Yeah.
says, do we know if any of the prominences we saw during the eclipse led to any significant geomagnetic storms since then? That would be a real cool connection to make if so. I don't know if they would.
I don't think so.
I would have thought anything that we had seen during the eclipse would have rotated around by the time this came along.
Yeah. But there weren't, I think you might be asking, did we have any aurora back in April?
Yeah,
Shortly after that, I don't recall that anyway.
not an either, but
It takes 2 weeks for those spots to come back around again that would have been active then, right? So if they were on the western side of the sun and they were or eastern side that starts to rotate towards you, if they were there and it took 2 weeks to get across, then 2 weeks back again, and that would bring you into sometime in May, would it not? If they were the same ones, I guess, but if they held their own. Bridget says my older version of cell phone camera picked up color in Yukon, but it didn't pick it up here when I couldn't see it. But didn't pick it up here where I couldn't see Aurora naked eye.
I wonder what night she was on.
Hmm. Someone else, Kim was saying that it was because there were so many CMEs that hit us this time in a row. It was extreme, I guess. Yeah, so they did have some that there was a couple of cannibal CMEs, I guess they call them.
Yeah.
It's traveling at a faster rate and caught up to the slower one ahead of it. So she was a thrilling night for sure for a lot of people. First time for me to see it like that as well. So
Yeah.
I can't wait till the next one.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be soon. I mean, are they still saying about a year, Kurt, from Max?
It could be later this year or maybe this time next year.
Okay.
You have to wait until several months after that before they figured out when the maximum was anyway.
Okay.
And quite often you get a double peak.
Okay. Yeah. And you still get a couple of years on the other side when she's
Yeah.
heading back down again, right? To go to Joe. So I think we still have a lot of good times ahead of us for that part of the
Now,
show.
those back in 2003, and they had those great flares there. On its way to Mars, it was one of the, I forget which one it was. It's going to be a lander or one that's orbiting. But they had an instrument on there that was meant to measure the radiation, the cosmic radiation, out around where Mars is, to give them an idea of what the astronauts would be subjected to when they're out there. When they hit that probe going out there, it destroyed pretty much that radiation detector they had in there.
Oh wow, really?
It just overwhelmed it. So it never got to work when it got to Mars.
So we're gonna live in caves on Mars, are we? Or
Yeah.
Yeah, good start anyway.
okay.
Well, we lived on caves here to start.
Hang on just a second. You might hear a little bit of the closing song. Just gonna have our closing thing opened up here for a second. So just bear with me for a sec. Hopefully you won't hear too much of it. Okay, here we go.
Oh my gosh, that was long.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Never thought it would
Okay.
end.
Put that over then, yeah. Oh, I gotta quit. I gotta get to my photos. Okay, so some photos to share. Let's go here and let's go here. And I'm gonna start with share my screen. Yep, yes.
There you go.
Here we go. Okay, so this one comes in from David Hoskin. David says, "Hi, Chris. I thought you might like this hydrogen alpha image of our active sun captured back on May the 15th. She's a nice shot there. Yeah. Lots of detail, lots of prominences.
What's going on? Wow.
Busy spot. Thanks, David. Okay, some Aurora shots. These are from Brad Perry. Brad says, here are a few captures from our big weekend of Aurora. I've included a photo from each of the 3 nights. The locations of the photos are Nashwauk Bridge Friday, Durham Bridge Saturday, and Peniac on Sunday. One thing that's interesting to note is that the exposure time for the Saturday Sunday pics were in the 5 to 6 second range, whereas the Friday was only 1.6 seconds.
There you go.
That's how much brighter and more active it was. Also, it was very cool to see so many cars pulled over and people out watching the sky at those hours on all 3 nights. The word certainly got out. Yeah, that's awesome. Good to hear.
Nice shots.
Shots. Thanks, Brad.
Yeah.
Okay. And these ones here come in from Julie Ouellette. And she didn't say where she was at, but
What an incredible night that was.
Wow, look at that, eh?
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And I got a couple here from Monica.
Yes, sir.
Very nice.
I've got a whole pile of them here that were sent. Actually, were put on the page. I'm hoping to get them sometime this week. I'm hoping to get them all together in some kind of a folder and be able. Oh, Julie says from Shediac. Thank you, Julie. So I'm hoping to get them all together in some kind of a folder and maybe a little bit of a clip, movie clip, as many as I can sometime this week. Just another one for Monica. Awesome shots.
Yeah.
And Chris Benoit sent this one handheld shot yesterday, he said, of the moon.
Come on.
Nice for handheld. Thanks, Chris.
Very.
And Joey Creswell. Here's another galaxy image taken with Halley's C-Star S50 telescope. This one's called Messier 64, aka the Black Eye Galaxy.
Yes, sir. Very nice.
Next one. Hey, Joey and Robert Cadet. A lunar surface on May 15th, 2024. A C-Star raw AVI capture, 1,600 frames, the best 10% stacked using auto-stackered, IMPPG, and Photoshop. Not bad for C-Star, not bad at all. Lots of detail there.
Yes, sir.
These are getting to be a pretty popular little telescope. These are from Patty Savoy. These are just a few captures that were sent into the page. Patty was a member of our St. John Club.
Oh, right.
And Chelsea Walsh. These captures here. And Adele Junet. Some fantastic stuff people were capturing.
Oh, incredible.
Yeah, really good.
Hang on. I can get that out of the big mode there. Here we go. Adele Junet. Hey, Mr. Powell.
I didn't take that shot though.
Adele got this from Long Reach, actually. So just
Yeah.
take that one, no?
Nice shot, Mike.
Yeah, I
So Mike captured the 22-degree and the 46-degree halo the other day, and he was at the Irving Nature Park. Is that where you got that? Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's the 22-degree ring and the 46-degree ring.
I didn't know the 46 existed until Kurt showed up, and I said, "Here's a guy that can answer my question for me." What is that?
Yeah, nice shot, nice capture.
Very nice, yeah.
But like I said, it stood right out like a rainbow with Polaroid's glasses on.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite as visible when you took the glasses off, but you put the Polaroid's glasses on, and that the colors were incredible.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, great to see those. Thank you, everybody. Here's our May-June calendar. Kurt Nason puts this together for us. Does a great job on it every month, and we get an idea of what's happening over the next month and a half, I guess. So here we are this week with a Raskin B meeting on Tuesday night. 13p Olbers, Kurt?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how bright is that one? Comment.
Good night, I think.
Ninth.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've had it a few times in binoculars.
Okay.
No, actually, no, I had it in my dog. 8-inch.
And it's going to be close to Messier 36 on Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Saturn, the planets are all in the morning sky right now. Saturn, Mars, and Mercury. Have you got Mercury much, or?
I just went, well, I went twice. One is too early, so I didn't see it and I didn't expect to, but I got it one day last week.
Okay. You're good at getting that one. I've tried
120 in a row.
Is that right? Wow. Amazing. So the full moon then too, just below Antares. I did look up in Stiller. It looked like it was beside Antares, but not below it. But it's just supposed to be a short distance, a degree or two.
Late in the evening, it's going to be beside it.
Okay.
When they're rising, and then over a couple hours, it'll dip down below.
Okay, gotcha.
In some parts to the south, it occults it.
Okay. Yeah, I saw that message. Yeah. Awesome. And then, of course, next Sunday night is SNAS. So get this calendar if you go to sjastronomy.ca or Raskin B. Is it on Raskin B's page too? I think
Yes.
Yep. Either one of those, raskinb.ca. And thanks for putting that together every month, Kurt.
Mm.
And this one we get from Lisa's Lookup. Lisa is on Facebook. And it's called Lisa's Lookup Astronomy and More. And she puts out this chart as well. These are the events for May. She lists out the events themselves. And then she lists out the dates that they happen and the peak times, the best times for your viewing. And then your seeing tools. Can you catch them naked eye? Do you need binoculars, or are you going to need a telescope? And she puts down the symbols on each one. So great chart to follow through. So you can follow her at Ruby Moonbeams on Instagram, X, formerly Twitter, Mastodon, and Facebook, and now Threads. Awesome. Thanks, Lisa. And if you have any images to send in, please send them in to astronomybythebay@gmail.com. We love getting your photos and we love sharing them. So thanks. And we'll stop share. Oh, locked up. Oh, it was locked up there for a
There
second.
you go.
Back.
I had a couple of thoughts, and there's only both about aurora, but usually only room for one. Seeing the colors of the aurora, you have to remember that our eyes are sensitive to green, and they're much less sensitive to red, and even less sensitive to purple. So you can see those great pictures up there. Looking at that naked eye, you don't need as much intensity in there to see the green as you do for the red, especially for the purple. And the one you asked Paul about, somebody had wondered about as you go to the north, is it more intense?
Mm-hmm.
Picture this: you got all the electrons and protons in the atmosphere falling on the magnetic field lines, and they're coming in toward the north. So as you get all of them coming in like that, they're concentrating, and therefore you're going to have greater intensity of them that way. So they go there, and then they flash back. They're going back and forth between the poles. So as they spread out to our latitude, they're going to be farther spread out and not as intense. So you need one of these great big storms from the sun for us to get something really good where you can see the colors naked eye.
Okay.
That's my thought for the next 2 months.
You might hear that sound again just for a second as I get the video opened up here. Okay, hang on. Oh, sorry. There. Okay. All right. Well, I guess that's our show for this evening then. We hope you enjoyed the program tonight. Special thanks to Kurt for sharing his talk with us again this evening. Kurt, thanks again.
You're welcome.
Come back and join us again next month.
Look forward to it.
Maybe Cygnus, maybe not.
Well, $20.
Okay. It can be bought. Good. Okay. The special thanks, of course, goes out to Rosanna too for her fabulous fun fact segment. Thank you again, Rosanna. A really interesting topic again. And to all of you who share our program out there for us, thank you all. Remember too, we do love getting your photos, so send them into astronomybythebay@gmail.com, and we'll be happy to put them up on our next broadcast. Special thanks again to all of our friends at Rogers for joining us this evening. So until next week, wishing you all clear skies. As we like to say, guys, open your eyes to view the skies and keep your scopes
Wind it up.
That's it. Okay. I think we can probably say share now, and maybe we'll say goodnight.